Jim is an awesome man. He would even give you the shirt off his back. Not that I'm saying I'm not a Packer fan or anything.
So, first of all, I'm sure this echoes what Grace said. I want to thank you guys for last week. The blessing of getting pounded by you guys was just amazing. I just want you to know, some of you hit pretty softly. Others of you hit really hard, though, so I don't want to do that anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you very much. It was a blessing to be able to bring all that stuff home, and, thank you. Just thank you very much. It was quite a blessing, so thank you. From the Lucians and from the Leeches, we are grateful for all that you've done for us. Thank you. So over the past year, Kenan and I had the opportunity to travel kind of up and down the East Coast, going to different schools, checking out coaches and teams, and seeing where the best fit for Kenan would be for college to hopefully, have the opportunity to play football there. And during that time, in talking with some of the coaches, we got a consistent theme that was brought to our attention. The consistent theme was faith, family, and football. Now, there were some coaches that I knew where they stood with faith. There were other coaches where that was like the team motto, and I wasn't really sure where they stood, but I knew where they all stood in football. And so it was really fun to get to see, this consistent theme through all of these variety of different teams up and down the East Coast. And it was really cool because, for us, faith is very important. For us, family is very important. And, we really love football. So that was equally as important for Kenan to have the opportunity to fulfill that dream. So as we come together this morning, I want us to look at faith, family, football, since we're celebrating Super Bowl Sunday here at Norview Baptist Church. We're going to look at faith, family, football, and we're going to look at how love influences those three areas of life. Does that work? So we're going to look at the 7 types of love. Did you know that there were 7 types of love? We often hear about 4. But there are 3 others that we're going to add into the mix to help us really just round out our perspective on what love is. So first, of course, the first style of love that we have is the agape style of love. We've talked about agape style love before. It's the unconditional or the altruistic love that we will do whatever we can to help you where you're at, and we're going to love you unconditionally no matter what. That's the Jesus kind of love that we need to have for each other and other people and those in our community and beyond. There's the storge kind of love. That is the familial type of love. It's the love that you have for your brothers and sisters. And then, of course, there's the phileo. Phileo is brotherly love. It's camaraderie. It's coming together for the same cause, to unite, to be unified. Well, then we've got the philautia love. It's kind of like phileo, but it's instead of being a brotherly love for others, it's a brotherly love for self. It's self-esteem. It's self-confidence. It builds up inside of you, and it can be torn down really quickly. We also have the eros kind of love. That's the kind of love you have for a spouse, where you are passionate for them. You've got 2 more types. You've got ludus type of love. Have you ever heard of a ludus type of love? A ludus type of love is a flirtatious type of love. It's playful. It's an uncommitted type relationship. It's kind of like bandwagoners, since we're talking about Super Bowl Sunday. So when I think about bandwagoners, I think about those people that jump on board to root for a team just because they're winning. like Patriot fans. I'm just kidding. Since we have so many people from New England here, I'm sure they're all diehard, deep-rooted Patriot fans. Or anybody here from Alabama? No? I didn't think so. We got those kind of teams that everybody jumps aboard to root for and cheer on because they're winning. Right? So that's the Ludus type of love. That's the bandwagoner. That's the, oh yeah, for now I'll love you, but don't start losing because I'm going to jump off. So then the last type, I think, is almost outside of the agape style of this next style of love, I think is one of the most important types of love. And we don't often talk about it at all because it's actually not found in the Bible. And generally we think of the 4 types of love because those are 4 types of love found in Scripture. There are 3 others used in Greek to help the Greek people understand the full concept of love. And the last one is pragma. Anyone can think of a word that kind of starts with the same root, pragma? Pragmatic. That's where we get the word pragmatic from. Pragmatic, pragma type love are practical. They're love that are useful for everyone involved. They're a love that meets practical needs. And so as we think about love, we're going to talk about faith and all the different types of love that go into that. We're going to talk about family and all the different types of love that go into family. And then we're going to talk about football. And we're going to talk about all the different types of love that go into football. I know you're thinking, how in the world are you going to talk football in your circle? Just wait, we're going to get there. Just wait. Before we do, let's look at Scripture. If you'll open in 1 John chapter 4. 1 John chapter 4, we're looking at verses 7 through 12. It will be on the screen if you'd like to open 1 John chapter 12. No, 1 John 4, verses 7 through 12. Let's read. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God. And whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. In this the love of God has been manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. And this is love, not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins, the payment for our wrongdoings. Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God. If we love one another, God abides in us, and his love is perfected in us. The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Let's pray. Father, this morning I want to thank you for love. I want to thank you for the variety of styles of love and the different means in which we can love one another. The means in which you have bestowed on us love through your Son, Jesus. Father, this morning, point out to us the way that we love you, the way that we love our family, the way that we love our friends, the way that we love so many things in this life. God, guide us to develop our love for you and for others. Forgive us for love that we have misplaced. Strengthen our resolve not to place things ahead of you in our lives. And may we begin to understand that the love that separates us from the things that we do is rooted and grounded in you. Help us to be focused and centered on who you are. In your name. And all God's people said?
Amen.
So when we think about faith, right? We've talked about faith. We've talked about how faith is the belief in something that we cannot see. Faith is something that we can't practically point out to people.
We might be able to show verses in the Bible. We may be able to point out attributes in other people's lives. We may be able to point out how we have felt love from God. But it's not a visible, tangible experience when we say we have faith. And there are a lot of people in the world today that have faith, that have an agape-style love for God, that have an agape-style love for everyone else. They even have a pragma love. They have a pragmatic love for God and the fact that we live out and do the things He commands us to do. But there are those around us that don't have faith. They don't have faith in the things that they might read in the Bible. They don't have faith in the things that you tell them. They don't have faith in what they see. What they have is words. What they have is just a baseline understanding of how the world operates around them. And when we go into having a love of God, a love for faith, we are becoming the reflection of God to those people that are around us that do not hold to the same understanding. Now, I know I've interacted with people before that have had faith in the past and say they now do not. I've interacted with people in the past that have never had faith, and I've been there to try and bring faith along in their life. See, we all have faith.
Yeah.
You're all sitting in a pew that may very well be older than you. So we have faith that the pew is going to hold us. We have faith. You've tested it. You've tried it. It's faith that's come through understanding. See, we can have that same type of faith when it comes to our relationship with God because there is evidence to prove that it is real. But what we lean on is our own understanding. And sometimes, some of us, we don't feel like we've got the right words to share with other people about why they should have faith. And that's okay. That's why we come together, to be a body of believers, so that we can grow and strengthen ourselves and our understanding, so that as we go out into the community, in everyday life, in everything that we're doing, we go out into our community and we share our own experience with people around us. In my studies of generations, boomers, so those that are born pre-64, and the millennials, those that are born post-80, those two generations, while they are very divergent in a lot of things, have one thing that is in common. And it is the fact that they both want experience. They want to live out, one, what they say they believe, two, what they can experience in life to prove it. And what we need to do as a church is provide opportunities for us to come together as generations. I'm actually in the middle generation of those two. And come together as generations to live out our faith through agape and pragmatic style love. So that as we come together, we have faith in God, and it's evidenced in what we do and say. That's exactly what 1 John 4, 7-9 and 12 was saying. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. In this, the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent His only Son into the world, so that we might live through Him. Verse 12, no one has ever seen God. If we love one another, God abides in us, and His love is perfected in us. See, when we live out our life dedicated and sold to God, surrendered to God, we live that life as a manifest reflection of Him in the world around us. So that, yes, it's giving the shirt off our back, although that was just hanging in my closet. Yes, it's giving up of our rations, of our food. It's giving up of our finances. It's giving up of our time. It's giving up of all these different areas of our life that we can then practically live out in front of others. The true reflection of God at work in your life.
Amen.
And that reflection of God is love. That reflection of God is surrender of the things we hold most dear. And that reflection of God is glorifying and uplifting others, not ourselves. The second type of love that we need to look at is love that is, yes, unconditional, unwavering, and unflinching, but one that is also free to live openly and practically in our life. When we think about loving our family, we're thinking about love that is a storge love. We're thinking about love that is a phileo love. We're thinking about love that is, yes, agape style love, but we're also thinking about love that is pragmatic, practical love. And as we think about these four style loves for our family, we've taken our love for God and now we're placing it into actual perspective in our life, and we're living it out for those that are around us, those that are closest to us. Now, I want you to think about this. When we love our family, we love them despite what they've done to us or despite what we've done to them. Now, I have a brother. He's 11 years younger than me. He's bigger than me. I'm the small guy in the family. I tell you guys that. I literally am. My brother is 6'6", probably 300 pounds. He's a big fellow. When he was younger, we used to wrestle. Younger. He was in 9th grade when he was my size. And so we would wrestle up until he was in about 9th grade, and then I couldn't beat him anymore. And so we would wrestle, and he would just lay on top of me with his full weight, and I would be laying there like, oh my gosh, get off me. And then every once in a while, I'd be strong enough, and I'd be like, get off me, and I'd get to push him off to the side, and we would wrestle and have fun. And I remember there was this one time, he was real little, and we were sitting in the back seat of the minivan, and he would not stop talking. And so I reached over, and I held his nose. I wasn't trying to kill him or anything, but I figured then he'd have to breathe through his mouth and not his nose so he would stop talking. Okay? And I let go when he stopped talking, and then I got yelled at. I got yelled at because, why are you holding your brother's nose? Quit holding your brother's nose. And then I got told, he left a mark on his nose. I'm like, he just wouldn't stop talking. See, brotherly love is love that is oftentimes physical and rough. Just this morning, Elam and Judah were wrestling in the den, and I came down the stairs and I looked down the walkway to the den, and there they are, just laying there with their arms, legs wrapped around each other, just rolling around. And it's a brotherly love. It's a love that is physical and adaptive, and they run and chase and do all kinds of fun things, right? It's even better when Kenan gets involved, because then it's like, they've got this giant monster chasing them, and they just run all over the place and go crazy. And so we've got that style of love. We can understand that style of love. And while that is a brotherly love, it's a camaraderie as they get older. Our prayer is that they remain faithful and strong in not only what they believe, but in relationship with each other. And they grow together. But there's also a practical style love that is given when we talk about family. And Kenan demonstrates it very well. Elam and Judah are too young. They're getting it. Kenan demonstrates it very well. We'll be sitting there at dinner, and Elam or Judah will want something to drink, something else to eat, and Kenan will be like, okay, what do you want? And he gets up, and he gets it for them. So that's a practical love. He's demonstrating for his younger brothers what love as a family looks like. I want us to understand, though, that when we have these opportunities to love each other with a brotherly, familial, practical style love, we're providing each other with the opportunity to see the Holy Spirit at work in our life. If Kenan didn't love his brothers, he would not get up and get them a drink. That is an acts of service type of love. Now, here's the thing we have to remember. When we are in family with one another, family not only knows the good things that are done, but we also know the bad things that are done. We know when someone's hurt another person's feelings. We know when someone has punched someone they shouldn't have because now they're crying. See, we know when families and brothers and siblings fight. See, we often know that our families know the highs and lows in our life. They know our mountaintops, they know our valleys. They know the last time we looked lustfully at someone. They know the last time that we wanted to punch someone in the face because it was most likely them. They know that. They caused you to feel that way. They know how to push our buttons. They know what causes us to get the strongest reaction. They know what causes us to provide the strangest reaction we could think of towards them. See, family style love, while it's in the midst of practical life, family style love can be some of the most reflective of God that we can experience. Because in the midst of all of the negatives that we know and see about each other, we put that aside and we love each other practically. We love each other for who we are, despite of the negatives that we see in each other's lives. We love each other because although you make me do bad things and want to do bad things to you, I love you. And I would never do those things because I love you. And we have that practical love for each other as a family. And I want us to understand that that extends further than a blood relationship. That extends further than what we would think of as family within the constraints of our own home. That extends into family as we see each other here. That extends further than family that we see here. It goes into 5 points and beyond because we want to be the family of God here on earth. And we want to bring His kingdom and glory in His kingdom here in practical means. And that means we have to begin not just loving our family practically, but it means we have to begin loving people outside of our church, people outside of our walls here in a practical manner that is giving back to them as we glorify God in our life. But it's going to take putting aside the negatives that we know of each other. It's going to take putting aside the things that we think they know about us. It's going to be putting aside the things that they think we don't know about them. And it's going to be about coming together in unification for the glory of God because He wants to be manifested here through Norview Baptist Church. And it's going to take us being family and loving family in a practical manner. Now, I want to talk to you about loving football. Now, I know football is one of those things. It's a game. There are many men and even women that make money by playing football. I have a stepsister who played professional women's football, and her spouse both played professional women's football. And I'm again the small one in the family. She's bigger than I am. She was offensive lineman, and I want you to know that when it comes to loving football, you can substitute anything in there. It doesn't have to be football. It could be your car. It could be your house. It could be, that new game system. It could be, all kinds of things that we fill in that blank. But as we come together and we think about what it means to love football, we're talking about love that is philia. Philatia. We're talking about love that is storge. We're talking about love that is brotherly, love that is personal. We're talking about love that comes in a variety of means because it's oftentimes pragmatic as well as ludus. We love football when it's in season. We love our team when they're winning. See, when we come together and we think about love of football, what we need to realize is that there can be anything. And the issue isn't our love of football. It isn't our love of our car, or our love of our house, or our love of our pet. The problem comes in when the love of those things outweighs the love we have for God, the love of faith, and the love of family. When our love of things outweighs our love for God and family, then our love for God and family have been replaced with what they call an idol. We've placed something higher in relationship to those, and we view them as a greater need in our life. And so when we come together and we love something like football, we need to realize that although we love it in a brotherly love, although we love it in a way that is self-grandizing, we love it in a way that is glorifying to those that are on the screen and we're celebrating them, we need to realize that the Bible describes our love for God and things very differently. And so I want to read a few verses for us. 2 Timothy 3, 2 through 5 says, "For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness but denying its power. Avoid such people." And those are just the Patriots fans.
I'm just kidding.
1 John 2, earlier in the book here, it says, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh, the desires of the eyes, the pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever." See, what's really cool about being in love with God is that despite the many times we mess up, despite the times we mess up and we put things that are ahead of Him, despite the way we treat other people, the more we place Him above the things of the world, the more He says this to us. Romans 8, 38 through 39. "For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord." So despite the fact that we love all of these things, despite the fact that we love football, God wants us to realize that loving football is not going to separate us from His love. It's okay. We need to love Him more than we love football. That's why it's faith, family, football. We need to love God more than we love anything else, because as we do that, He is going to empower us to live out our love for Him in each person around us' lives. So let me give you some ways, some simple steps in which you can love one another, your faith in God. You can love your family, you can love your friends today, practically while we sit around for 5 hours and watch football. Okay? Let's think about this. So if we're going to love God more than we love football by watching the game today, here's what we can do. There are 5 they call love languages. All of us have 5 love languages. We've talked about them before. There are 5. So there's words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, giving gifts, and physical touch. Those 5 things are within all of us. They need to be understood by us and lived out in our relationship with one another by providing love in those ways. Okay? Let me tell you how you can do it today. First, words of affirmation. When you're watching the game today, and you're sitting there and you're cheering on your team, encourage your fellow supporter, your fellow cheerleader, your fellow comrade sitting beside you by encouraging each other like, hey, wasn't that a great play? We do that anyway, don't we?
Yes.
How about this? When we're sitting there and we're watching the game with someone else and we're engaging with them, that is quality time. It's quality time because you're sitting there and you're engaging with that person. You're talking to them, you're hanging out with them, you're interacting with them in a way that is positive and encouraging. That's quality time. Next, how about acts of service? You guys ever get up to get something during the game? Maybe a drink, or some more chili, or another bowl of nachos, or wings, or whatever it is you're having at your party? You ever get up and get yourself some? Why not turn around and say, hey, anybody else want something? How many of us have ever done that? Guess what? That's acts of service. That's loving the people that you're there with in acts of service. That's doing something for someone else so that they don't have to do it themselves. Practical. What about giving gifts? You guys ever see something on clearance for your friend's team? You think, oh, I should get that for them. It's a quarter. And you get it, and you give it to them, they're like, oh, this is so awesome, I'm going to stick it on my refrigerator. And, they get all excited, right? That's giving gifts. That's giving your friend a gift because you know something that they enjoy. That's easy. That's practical. What about physical touch? Now, this can get weird if we're talking about in, marriage relationships. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a football game. So, let's think about physical touch in a football game, shall we? How many of you guys ever give somebody a high five? How many of you guys ever man hug? You guys know what a man hug is, right? Man hug? Where you come up, pat, 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 break. That's a man hug. Pat, 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 3 pats, pat, 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 break. That's all you get. More than 3, it gets a little weird. Less than 3 is acceptable, but 3 is a common, general, feel okay time. Give a man hug. What about if you give each other a shoulder to cry on, because, not everyone can win. See, those are ways that we can have physical touch in positive, God-glorifying ways during the football game today. Those are 5 ways that we can show God and our family and friends that we love them more than football by fulfilling their love tanks while we're sitting there watching a football game. See, this month we're going to talk about love, and we're going to talk about different perspectives on love. So today I'm giving you the overall perspective of what it means to love faith, love family, and love football. By the way, this is Kennan's jersey. I love my boy. See, I'm giving you practical ways that we can love holistically. We're going to have messages this month from Grayson. He's going to tell us a perspective of love from 39 years of marriage. We're going to have a sermon this month by Brandon, who's going to give us 19 years worth of knowledge on what it means to be a 19-year-old in college and looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm just kidding. And then we're going to have a message from Duran, giving us a perspective on love with family and being in the military. And it's going to look different than what it looks like for a lot of us. And I want us to realize that we're coming at this perspective of love holistically because it's not just enough for you to hear what I have to say about it. I want you to hear what others in our congregation, from our community, and beyond know and feel about love. And I want us to be able to know that God's love for us is greater than any love that we've experienced so far. And that God's love for us is so great that he gives us practical ways to love each other and practical ways to love our community and beyond for him and through him. But it only happens if we're willing to let him love us first. You've got to be willing to let Jesus' love for you invade your heart to the point that you have no other choice but to live it out in your life. And I ask if you'll consider doing that with me this morning. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for your word. Thank you for your unconditional love towards us. That even in the midst of our own evil desires, you love and cared enough for us that you sent your Son to die on the cross for our wrongdoings. That we could have all of our wrongdoings, sum total of death, be paid for. And have the knowledge and the ability to glorify you here on earth. Practically speaking, demonstrating and experiencing your love towards others. Father, this morning, if you are calling us to surrender to you, help us to let go of that pew and come forward. If you're calling us to be in membership with Norview Baptist Church, you're calling us to be baptized in surrender and identification of our relationship with you, Lord, help us to come forward. Father, if you're calling us to surrender to your will, Lord, help us to come forward. Father, in your name we pray. Amen.
Please stand with us as we sing.